Hi everybody, hope you've all been doing well. Today, we'll be looking at composition and how you can compose your own perfect picture with some tips and tricks. We'll be looking at this through the lens of famous female Baroque painter Artemisia Gentileschi. Gentileschi initially painted under the style of Caravaggio, and the same intensity of work can be noted for both artists. Gentileschi began producing professional work by the age of 15. This was a time when women had very few opportunities, and artistically even fewer. Gentileschi overcame the odds and became the first woman at the Academy of Arts in Florence. Before we get into Gentileschi's work, there are a few key topics I want to discuss. The first is the Fibonacci sequence, or the golden ratio. It's a ratio of 1 to 1.618 and is an irrational number, much like the well-known pi. The idea of it is that it is a perfect rectangle that when divided into uneven halves with a perfect square on one side, the leftover rectangle will have the same proportions as the original perfect rectangle. If this shape is continuously divided in two, using the ratio, it will always result in a perfect or golden rectangle and square. Once you've got the general pattern figured out, it can be a great resource to use in your artwork when working out the initial composition. Another topic I'm going to discuss in this video is eye tracking. Our eyes have many different parts, and each part has a separate function. When we look at paintings, we're generally using what's known as foveal vision. This is the optical function used to take in the fine details that might be in a painting. At the center of our gazes, the image stays sharp, but the center of the gaze is small, and as it reaches the periphery, the resolution grows blurrier. Many artists have utilized this specific aspect of vision and used it to enhance their own paintings, like painters who focus on the details of the face while blurring out other details from the center. In the 1960s, a Russian psychologist named Alfred Yarbus came up with a device that would provide insight into eye movement. The device looks more like a torture device than a nice pair of sunglasses, as you can see. Patients couldn't tolerate wearing it more than a few minutes, so I doubt you'll be seeing anyone browsing a gallery wearing these. But Yarbus' device revealed a precise tracing of the subject's vision. Yarbus discovered that eyes rarely stay still in one position. Rather, they jump from point to point, darting from one information-rich area to another. He found that eyes are drawn to areas of high contrast, human features, such as eyes and lips, and other high details. As you can see, thinking about a viewer's eye tracking when composing your painting might just be another tool to help you make that perfect composition. I've taken the liberty of creating some of what eye tracking movements might look like on some of Gentileschi's most famous work, so that we might gain a better idea of what elements go into a solid composition. The first work we're going to be looking at is Susanna and the Elders, circa 1610. It is Gentileschi's earliest known signed and dated work. As you can see, the eyes are constrained to the tight composition between the three faces at the center of the painting. It might gaze around at the hands and such, but the viewer always returns to the eyes and the faces, the minute expressions, trying to weave together the narrative at the center of this painting. As a compositional bonus, the painting also follows the golden ratio. Sweeping the viewers in from the corners of the canvas, your eyes just spiral in until you're caught between the three faces in the painting. Judith slaying Holofernes is an iconic painting of Gentileschi's. This is a subject that has been visited by many Baroque artists, but none quite captured the visceral nature of the moment like Gentileschi does. The brute strength it takes from the two women to take down a man in a drunken stupor, the expression of determination on Judith's face, the arterial spray of the blood, all of it makes for quite a cinematic moment. The eye movement here would follow the action, the hands and the eyes. It might also fall upon the knife, but most of the motion in the eyes would be broad sweeping motions between one subject and another, creating this tight woven shape in the center of the canvas. As you can see, the golden ratio works perfectly in the instance of this painting as well. The violence is perfectly captured within the frame of it, forcing the viewer to stare into the eyes of the dying Holofernes. Judith and Her Maidservant is a painting that depicts the moments after the brutal beheading. There is no real action here in this painting. It's rather subdued besides the decapitated head in a basket. This painting, your eyes would focus on the eyes, the lips, the hands, the blade, and then the head, forming this tight trapezoidal shape between the subjects. Even though there's no action in this piece, the elements of it are quite strong and self-contained, keeping the viewer looking around the canvas at them again and again. This painting is Jael and Sisera, depicting a biblical moment when Jael drives a stake through the head of the sleeping Sisera. It was seen as a heroic moment on the part of Jael in the Bible, and in the theme of strong women, Gentileschi decided to paint this scene. You'll see that the viewer's eyes are drawn to the action of the hammer, of the stake, the downward arc the hammer will take. The viewer also focuses on the eyes and mouths of the two figures. This creates an overall tight triangular shape that keeps the viewer's gaze contained. This picture also fits the golden ratio perfectly. The actions flow from one to another, and the implication of what's next is jarring in comparison to the seemingly peaceful scene. Overall, what we've seen appears to be that more action-oriented pieces have more precise, jagged shapes, setting apart the figures and the arc of action, versus narrative-based paintings where the eye naturally settles on each element broadly, revisiting them for details. When making your own painting compositions, keep these things in mind. Be sure to have the movement displayed in a clear motion, always have the implication of what's next. Unlike animation, painters only get one frame to convey the whole story, so pick the best one. Focus on the faces in the composition, and see if you can arrange them in ways that are more appealing. If you can create thumbnails for your image before you start, that might help out a lot with figuring out a final composition. Thanks for sticking around till the end of this video. I realize we went through a lot today, and I hope some part of it or another proves to be helpful in your artistic journey. Composition is just one part of the complicated process of painting, and any advice helps. Till next time.